The 15 words I'm about to share with you must be especially difficult for native speakers because we mispronounce them all the time. In fact, I just mispronounced our first word, especially. Notice the spelling here. There's no K, there's no X, just an S. And this one does sound the way it's spelled. Especially. Especially. A lot of native speakers will actually pronounce this ekspecially.
I just need a break every now and then, especially after these 3 years. We always, work good together, especially in, matches like that.
This is one that I actually pronounce correctly, but both my brother and my sister pronounce it ekspecially. Next up, we have library. You probably know how to say library. You might even ask someone how to get to the library. But believe it or not, a lot of native speakers pronounce this word library.
I went to the public library to try to make sense out of all the madness.
In addition, the library district has generously responded with a charitable donation of used books.
Now, while dropping an R in a word is not uncommon in English, it's usually something that we do in British English at the end of the word. So I find this library pronunciation somewhat interesting. Next, we have this word, nuclear. Nuclear. The way that a lot of native speakers will pronounce it is nuclear.
Cure is nuclear power.
Now, this particular mispronunciation is actually linked to a set time and generation because it was made popular by one of our ex-presidents, George W. Bush.
Today, Iraq continues to withhold important information about its nuclear program. Iraq employs capable nuclear scientists. It retains physical infrastructure needed to build a nuclear weapon.
So many people, especially young people who were new to the word, such as myself, pronounced it nuclear. I've since corrected my pronunciation, but this was one of the mistakes that I used to make. Next up, we have etc., 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 etc. And again, if you look at the spelling of this word, it is clearly et cetera. But for whatever reason, many native speakers will go with etc., etc.
We've seen several fertility doctors, etc.
6%. Cordially, etc.
I've been in a whole bunch of dead-end relationships, etc., etc.
My guess is that we do this because ek is a little bit easier of a sound to make. Et requires bringing the tongue up to the alveolar ridge, and it's just a lot of work, so etc. The next example is very similar to especially, where we have an S sound that gets replaced by an X or K sound. The word is espresso. Espresso.
Expresso with that beautiful foam.
Graduated to it from espresso machines.
I served you an espresso at Starbucks.
As you can hear in those examples, many of the native speakers are pronouncing it expresso, expresso. And this is also one that I used to do because I learned this pronunciation expresso from my father. Only later, as an adult, did I learn that it was espresso. The next word is such a common word because it's one of the months of the year, February. And this is one that honestly I still mispronounce depending on how much I'm paying attention to what I'm saying. You will hear many native speakers pronounce this February.
Until February.
How do you like Wisconsin in February?
February 14th. Yeah.
February?
So this is another case in which the R in the middle of a word is being omitted to make the pronunciation a little bit easier. Our next word is cavalry. Cavalry. And you might hear that I'm trying very hard to say this correctly because I'm one of the people who usually mispronounce it cavalry.
The danger to the cavalry
is acceptable. Agree.
Woman, I am the cavalry.
Cavalry is the wrong pronunciation. It should be cavalry. Cavalry. Now for this one, there's actually a pretty good reason for the mispronunciation. Calvary is an actual location that a lot of native speakers who were raised Christian or who are Christian would have heard from the Bible. So it's very easy to conflate cavalry and Calvary. The next word on my list is banal or banal. Both of those pronunciations are accepted. And if something is banal or banal, It means it is unoriginal. It's cliche. And I bring up the definition because this is not a word that a lot of people know. And those who mispronounce it tend to be those who have never heard it spoken aloud, and either they don't know what it means and they're reading it, or they've read it, but they've only pronounced it in their head. I was one of those who read this word as a child and assumed that it was pronounced banal because of the spelling, which is very close to, well, a very inappropriate word. And if you pronounce this word banal, it sounds very similar to that inappropriate word. The next word on my list is another one that I feel most native speakers will only mispronounce when they're reading it or if they just haven't learned it yet. So typically younger people. The word is facade, facade, and from the spelling, you could see how one would easily think this is pronounced facade. Similar to banal and banal, this one also sounds a little bit inappropriate when you mispronounce it. Facade, facade. You hear what I hear, right?
But nobody knows it was all just a big facade.
The next mispronunciation is for some reason one that gets to me. Whenever I hear it, it kind of makes my skin crawl, and I'm not sure why, but the word is mischievous. Mischievous. And I don't know when this started happening, but for a very long time, native speakers have been mispronouncing this word as mischievous.
You got that mischievous look in your eye, buddy.
Sometimes as mischievous as I was.
You could always see the mischievous look in Owen's face.
The Rodanians, the lonesome cry of the mischievous coyote. Flathead.
Now I get the mischieve part, that makes sense to me, but what I don't get is the vious. Where's this extra long E sound coming from after the V? There's no I there, there's no E there. There's no indication that we should be saying that at all. My daughter's feeling a little bit mischievous right now, so I think she'll have to join me for a moment. But I've actually seen native speakers misspell this word as well because they're so convinced that it's mischievous. So they will add an I after the V in order to get the word to be spelled the way they think it's supposed to sound.
That's crazy.
Our next word is this word. And I'm not saying it out loud just yet because I want you to think about what it looks like, what you think it might sound like. If you're somewhat familiar with the way that English sounds when it's read, you might think this is hyperbole, if you've never seen it before. Hyperbole. And a lot of young people, especially children, will read this as hyperbole. I don't know that I've seen adults saying hyperbole, but the way this word is actually pronounced is hyperbole. Hyperbole. And if you're not familiar with the word hyperbole, hyperbole is when we exaggerate things for an effect. So if I say, oh, I'm starving.
I'm starving. When's dinner?
I'm not actually starving. I'm just very hungry. I'm being hyperbolic. I'm using hyperbole. The next word on the list is another one that I mispronounce all the time. I don't think that I ever say it correctly, and I don't know if I'm going to change that, but the word is turmeric. Turmeric. You hear how awkward that feels for me? This word is usually, I would say more often than not, pronounced as turmeric. But as you can see from the spelling, there is an R there. It should be turmeric. Turmeric. I don't know what it is that makes it feel so awkward, but it's not just me. A lot of native speakers will pronounce this turmeric instead of turmeric.
It has rosemary essence for blood flow, a curcumin extract from turmeric.
Thank you. Okay, I've been on this juice cleanse this past month, turmeric.
I'm assuming because they feel that same awkwardness when they try to pronounce it correctly. Sticking with the theme of words that I personally mispronounce, our next word is going to be sherbet. Sherbet. And rather than omit the R, I actually add an additional R to this word, making it sherbert.
Good night, watermelon sherbet.
You can't sing? You like sherbet fountains?
Shoot for sherbet. What are you doing here, Kyle?
And guava sherbet, but the rest is all here.
Oh, fine.
And I do remember my grandma pronouncing this correctly, but for whatever reason, I couldn't help but call it sherbet. And I still call it sherbet to this day. Now there's a couple more words on the list here, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about something, which is the fact that I've been pretty unapologetic about my own mispronunciations. And you're going to notice that other native speakers are also pretty unapologetic about these mispronunciations. The reason for this is that at a point, if enough native speakers are mispronouncing a word, that pronunciation of the word becomes acceptable. So while I may be sitting here bagging on native speakers for not knowing how to pronounce things, language is not something that was created and written out with rules and regulations. It is a naturally occurring thing. And as language transforms, the rules or pronunciations will also transform. One really good example of this is the word niche, which a lot of Americans will pronounce niche. I actually did a video on the pronunciation of this word, and I still have people in the comments telling me that niche is not an acceptable pronunciation. But I guarantee in the United States of America, it has become one. All right, let's get back to the list. The next word on my list is this one right here. And I'm not saying this one out loud because I want you to try and figure out what the heck this is without my help. And I think you'll see why a lot of native speakers mispronounce this word.
Quinoa. Quinoa?
I mean, what's this? Quinoa.
And I had quinoa.
We've got different pronunciations coming from different people, but the correct pronunciation of this word is quinoa. Quinoa. The word quinoa comes from an indigenous language from South America. So the phonetics are not going to match up with what we're used to in standard American English. And at this point, it looks like we're getting away from words that are core to the English language, but we've used them so much that they are now a part of that language. And that brings me to my final word, which is actually a group of words, or it could be any number of words. Basically, words that were borrowed from the Spanish language. Words like quesadilla, tortilla, even taco, or the country Chile.
Santiago, Chile.
Because we're borrowing these words from Spanish, oftentimes from our neighbors in the South, Mexico, it feels wrong to me when we come up with our own pronunciations like tortilla or quesadilla.
Pull and make yourself a dang quesadilla.
And I realize that as we adopt these words, we might end up changing the pronunciation of them a little bit, seeing as we are not native Spanish speakers, but it still feels wrong with Mexico so close that we can't learn the original pronunciation. As you might expect, these mispronunciations are much more likely to occur in states or areas that are far from Mexico. Now, I'm originally from California, and I know a little bit of Spanish, so I tend to pronounce these words a bit more accurately than some, but I do wish my Spanish level were higher. In all honesty, I don't even know what my Spanish level is, but if you want to know what your English level is, your American English level, I actually have a test you can take right here.